Speaking in tongues in Acts 2. What is tongues according to the original context? In Greek, the word for tongues is glossa. Glossa, the structural language or dialect used by a particular people distinct from that of other nations, a known earthly language. For example, English, Greek, Hebrew, Spanish, Aramaic, and so on. So it's obvious that another word for tongues is language. The gift was given to the apostles in order to understand and communicate with all tribes and nations while spreading the gospel. Let's read Acts 2. And suddenly there came from heaven a noise like a violent wind, and they were all filled with the Holy Spirit, and began to speak with other languages, as the Spirit was giving them utterance. Now there were Jews living in Jerusalem, devout men from every nation under heaven. And when this sound occurred, the multitude came together and were bewildered, because they were each one hearing them speak in his own language. Verse 8. And how is it that we each hear them in our own language to which we were born? From reading Acts 2, we see that the apostles spoke languages from around the world. Known languages from around the world. Verse 11. Cretans and Arabs, we hear them in our own language, speaking of mighty deeds of God. People understood them while they spoke in tongues. That's because they were speaking in earthly languages from each tribe. These apostles were filled with the Holy Spirit and spoke miraculously in different languages from around the world thanks to the Holy Spirit. Now here's what they didn't do. They didn't speak in an ecstatic, repetitive mumble of strange sounds like you hear in charismatic and Pentecostal churches today. This ecstatic, self-producing mumble comes from the Azusa Street revival of the early 1900s. It can even be traced back to Islamic, Hinduism, Buddhism, and even Eskimo, practicing this ecstatic mumble to reach certain spirits. It's easy to see that it's a pagan practice. It is not the gift of tongues found in Acts 2. Again, the gift of tongues that the apostles receive in Acts 2 is called glossa in Greek. It's a known language found on earth. The apostles became multilingual in a matter of seconds thanks to the Holy Spirit. It was for a sign to all that needed to know that these men come in the name of the Lord, so that the apostles could communicate with other nations. 1 Corinthians 14:22. So then tongues are for a sign not to those who believe, but to those who don't believe, the unbelievers. It never mentions speaking in an unknown gibberish. It never mentions speaking only in prayer meetings. This modern tongue of Babel originated in the 1900s with the birth of the charismatic practices. Again, it's pagan. The mumbling and ecstatic random noise you hear in some churches today is not biblical. Please test the spirits. I will be making a separate video to focus on the book of Corinthians also, but please pray and seek the truth. Hopefully you liked this video. If you did, please share and subscribe. Thank you.